a very special video. A send-off to an old friend, a channel favorite, vehicle that has been on the channel for quite some time. I was very proud of it when it came about. It quickly became a favorite. It was a hodgepodge of mixed parts and battered pieces that we 3D printed, we made others fit, we drilled holes, all kinds of things. Just for the lack of not having other parts to put on due to availability and funds. Quite the vehicle. It really did. It turned out to be a very fantastic truck. So today is going to be its last run, and it's going to basically retire and go under the knife, and it will live on as something else. Let me show you what we have. So here is a final peek at its current state. So if you remember correctly, most of the chassis started out as a Tamiya Blitzer, and we took out the brushed speed controller. We added a Hobbywing quick run. I think it's a 60 amp. I think it's a 60. I don't see the numbers on it. Something on the back here. It's a brushless. I'm pretty sure it's 60 amp. Anyway, yeah, 60 right there. Okay. We added a Tactic receiver, which at the time and still is my favorite radio system. They're just hard to get a hold of. 3-channel and fantastic range. Awesome setup. We 3D printed a bunch of stuff that goes on the front here. We tried different things, splitters and that kind of thing, different iterations to try to match this guy. This is my Arrma Infraction, and as you can see, the splitter on there is pretty similar. We didn't have foam, and we wasn't really going to buy all that junk, so we kind of just made do with what we had. That's how we ended up coming up with this. Nothing special. If you turn him upside down, you will see that it's nothing more than a mount that I kind of bent, threw some screws on, drilled a bunch of different holes, tried a bunch of different things, and it's not exactly straight, but as you can see, it works pretty good. The whole point was to try to keep the car on the ground, because the car itself would reach speeds of excess of 70 mile an hour. I think I've got recorded speeds around 50, 40 something, somewhere in that neighborhood, and it would still just, you know, the front end would just come up off the ground because it's only 2-wheel drive. It doesn't have a lot of weight in the front. So we had that problem with it. That was the whole point of the splitter in the front, and it did a great job. It actually started to come together. I 3D printed, I won't say shocks, and more like links or whatever. I took out the shocks entirely. They were working okay, but they're still a little too brittle. So I actually went back to these. These are off of WL Toys. I forget which model. I think it's a 16 scale, or maybe a little bit bigger than that. I'm not sure, but they seem to work really well on there. In the back here, we added some of these spring on the inside shocks, whatever you call them. They kind of add a little more realism and stiffness, because I was having a problem again with the stock shocks that I had on there. This is how we basically made a Traxxas 2-wheel drive transmission fit on this Tamiya Blitzer. We also took the bottom underneath there and we put JB Weld plastic in the holes, and we re-drilled new holes. We left some of the characteristics alone on the back here, like these holes for mounting. The idea was, as you can see, the fit really isn't that bad. I had to do a few modifications. I wanted to use the Traxxas transmission because the gears inside are actually better than the Blitzer. So we had a couple other mods down here where we had to drill into the chassis. We filled in the groove that was right there for, I think it was a strap groove. That was what held the ESC in place on a piece of plastic that I just kind of threw in there. So chassis mods, that's pretty much all we did. Besides what we had up here on the top. And what we had up here, obviously, was basically just a plate with a screw in it. And yes, it's got a sharp edge. I never really cared about getting around to fixing that. I don't give a shit. Drilled a couple holes in between there, put a couple long screws in, and that actually goes through the bottom there. So that's basically what holds the tower on here. And then in the back, we pretty much did a similar type of a setup. Let's move all this stuff out of the way so you can see. Right there. So we just kind of drilled into that, and that kind of worked for a while for our support in the rear. It wasn't perfect, but the whole point of this truck was to use parts that were available. So that's pretty much what we did. We still have the Tamiya pieces here. This tower or shock holder or whatever the hell you call that, that is original. This is a Traxxas, I'm wanting to say Slash, because it has the hole for the motor to go through. For the ESC, he's supposed to, I think it's supposed to sit right here, a Wrestler or something, I don't really know. So, as you can see, I got it really low, planted to the ground. There's not a lot of clearance there, which is the whole point, to kind of try to keep the air flowing correctly around it. The only thing that I didn't do on the bottom here that I wanted to do is I wanted to add airflow grooves that would kind of direct the air to the ass to kind of act as like a, what do you call those, you know, diverter or whatever the hell you call them. So it would help with the airflow, but I never got around to it. We ended up blowing up one of the two Surpass Hobby motors that I had. It was a 4300 kV, and we have since replaced it with the Spectrum Firma 3300. I haven't ran it yet on video. I've ran it a couple times off video. It seemed to run pretty good. I have no idea what kind of speeds we're getting on it though. Again, I didn't run it with anything on it, so we're gonna kind of see where it lands today. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot, because I plan on reusing this setup right there and right there and something else. So this is going to be a two-part video. Like I said, it's kind of a special deal for me. This is turning into something different. So this is going to be its last run in its current iteration. So let me show you what it's going to be turning into though. So I'm kind of excited about this project, but then again at the same time I'm a little bit, you know, kind of, I won't say sentimental or whatever, you know, it's a freaking RC car, but you know, it's I'm kind of proud of this thing here. It's done a very good job with pretty much nothing. So let me show you what we're turning for a while now about building a street drag. And I was doing it out of a Traxxas Slash setup. So this is what we're going to do with the FS Mad Max. Check it out. This is the build concept. I downloaded the manual, blah blah blah. Most of the parts that are on here were going to be a fitting to this. So let me just give you a little peek about what's here. Get this set up here so we can actually take a peek at it. So you've seen the diagrams. Now, I downloaded a list of parts. These are all basically Traxxas parts and then J Concept parts at the bottom. And here's some more parts and other setups and stuff, and Bandit parts, which yes, it uses Bandits for like the arms and such. And that's pretty much it. That's all that's to this truck. Now, what I've been doing, because it's kind of an expensive setup, I don't have the body yet, so don't get excited. But since it's kind of an expensive setup, I've been buying pieces here and there. So without further ado, let me show you what we have. So we have here a brand new, in the box, or in the bag or whatever, Traxxas chassis. That's going to replace the old one there. And as you can see, it's just a hair longer, you know, a few inches or whatever. And we also have been buying a ton of other parts. We have arms, screw kit, there's tower setup, we have body mounts, I think. There's a bumper in the front, arms. What else we got here? Links, and we got there's more arms. And these right here are axles, I think, for the front, because it's two-wheel drive, so it doesn't have any hexes. We got pins down here, links. I even got a new, where's the name of it at? Here we go. It's a 31 tooth, 48 pitch pinion. That should match up really well with what we already currently have. Now, here's the speed setup that I'm most likely going to be going to. This is an come on, focus now. It's an 86 tooth, 48 pitch. Should work out really good for two-wheel drive. Very similar to the current setup. If you can see that. There we go. So you can kind of see the current setup now. We're still going to be rocking the Tactic because the Tactic is just amazing. It's not going to go anywhere. But this is going to be another winter build that I'm working on. We may do something with the Dean's connector on the end, although until you start getting up to 4S and above, the Dean's connector seems to do a great job. I wouldn't trust it much higher than that though, because they tend to get hot and stuff when you're talking about 4S and above. So that's, in my opinion, not where they need to be. Now, if you look down here, I have a couple goodies in here. I have a Futaba steering servo, which it still does a good job. We're going to kind of play around with that. If it still is going to hold pretty good, we'll keep it around. If not, I have others to replace it with. This Hobbywing I absolutely love. Like I said, it's a 60 and it does an amazing job. It's your basic ESC, but you don't need anything more. I mean, seriously, it's a speed runner. You don't need anything more. The Spectrum motor here, I'm really excited to get some time in with it. It seems to be doing very well. I'm kind of excited to, I thought about even replacing this with a Spectrum setup, and a Spectrum ESC, but I don't really see the sense, and you'll understand why when we get to part 2 of the video. This truck still runs fantastic. So again, this is going to be the last run of this truck. That'll be in part 2. We're probably going to run this body because the Mustang body still has some pieces that I broke off of it that I have not fixed. So we'll just use the old, I don't know if it's an RC10 body or whatever that I modded. It might even be the original Tamiya. I have no idea. Just, body setups are, one thing. I'm not too worried about this one because I've coated the crap out of it on the inside, so it seems to hold up pretty well. So what we're going to do today, before we take it out, is we're going to go over all the screws, make sure everything's tight, get it up and running, ready to rock and roll. Then we're going to go for a blast with it for, again, one last time. And that'll be in part 2, will be the running portion of it. And we'll give it a nice little send off here and start our build with the new section down there. Should be a lot of fun. So thanks again for watching, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel, and obviously we're trying to do things that are different than everybody else. This right here. So if you could, give me a little support, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and that way you won't miss out on the upcoming build and see where we go in the future. Plus, we haven't reached our goal, and I don't know that we're going to by the end of the year. We're just trying to reach 100 subscribers. So if we don't reach that goal, I'm going to hold off just a little bit on what I was going to do, but we're still going to do something for the end of the year. I'm going to save the 100, what I was going to do for the 100 subscribers. I'm going to save that till we actually reach 100. I found out where some of our problem is. If you're watching this on a Roku TV or any other kind of TV device, it seems to be difficult to go and hit the subscribe button. It's kind of hidden. It's not really in your face. Where it's like on the mobile and the computer and stuff, you basically just click a button and bam, you're subscribed. It's easy. It's free. It's quick. It's easy. So on the Roku, I do apologize. But if you would, just kind of click the three dots and you should be able to find me. I don't remember if the channel shows up to the left or not, or if you have to get to it from the three dots, but if you would, just try to find it. Give me a subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel grow pretty good. So once we reach 100 subscribers, it opens me up to new things that I can do on YouTube. And I'm kind of looking to get to that level. That was the whole point, so we can actually move to the next phase of what I have planned for the channel. So if you would, just do that for me, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. Appreciate it, guys. You guys are great. Thanks a lot.